Hi, my name is Meg Edwards, and I'm a GTD coach, and we're doing a series on GTD for beginners. And in this particular part of the series, I'm doing a whole big section on the weekly review, which, as many of you know, is the critical success factor. Part of it is because it's so important once you've installed GTD that you can stay clean and current. And the weekly review is what helps you do that so that you can be more in that creative place. And so up to this point, I started with the get current part because that's really the heart of the weekly review. And then I went to the get clear part and then the get creative part. In the last video, I talked about the someday maybe list, which I think is one of the most underutilized categories out there. But I want to read to you how David ends the weekly review. Even though I haven't memorized, I still like to read it, where he says, be creative and courageous. Any new, wonderful, harebrained, creative, thought-provoking, risk-taking ideas to add into your system. So what does that mean? Well, I think it's going to mean different things for different people. I think that sometimes, frankly, people are kind of toast at the end of doing their weekly review. But as you do more and more and more of them, I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that you're going to experience this lightness because you're now clean and current. And you're going to have a really good sense of what you want to be working on now. It takes you out of the busy trap. It takes you out of the latest and the loudest. And it takes you into this wonderful place of space. And so after your weekly review, this is where you get to just sometimes just take a breath and just take a seat back and think about what has your attention now. Many, many years ago, and I still tell this story, I was doing virtual coaching with a gentleman, and he, up to that point, had never been late for a call. And about, I don't know, 5 to 7 minutes in, I called him and I was like, hey, what's up? We have a call scheduled. He goes, oh my gosh, really? Time got away from me. And he's like, could we reschedule? And I was like, well, that's really interesting because today's call was going to be on the weekly review. And he goes, well, I'm really busy and I have a lot going on. Can we please reschedule? And I said, could you just trust me? And can we just do a weekly review together? May not be a complete weekly review, but as we say, a little review is better than no review. And he's like, okay, let's do one. So we did the review. We got pretty much all of it done. And then at the end of the call, he goes, I see it now. He goes, before I started doing the weekly review, I was going to do these actions. And now I'm going to go do these actions, which is a much better use of my time and attention and energy. And he saw the value of doing that weekly review. And the rest of our coaching, we didn't have to discuss the weekly review again. Now, that's kind of a good example, but I think a lot of people are really trying to figure out how the weekly review is going to work for them, the day, the time. And this is really just about best practices. But I wanted to end this series of the weekly review for beginners with something that David wrote in the book, Ready for Anything, which I highly, highly recommend. Because I try to get my clients kind of out eventually of the mechanics of the Getting Things Done book. That's just how you operationalize things. But this is the why. And chapter 13, I almost have it memorized because I read it to almost every single client at some point in the coaching, because I think it gives a really great example of what really, in many ways, GTD is about. And so it starts with saying the name of the chapter, You Are Not Your Work. It's 2 short pages. The big secret about my lists. As many of you know by now, I have quite a few lists and quite a few things on them. It's time to share with you a serious big secret about my lists. Some of the best projects I've done were never on them. What? Aren't lists supposed to be the way to get things done? Have I been fooling you all along? Have I duped you into believing that getting things out of your head, processing them into outcomes and actions, and writing the results into objective categories for consistent review is the way to get all your stuff accomplished? It may seem that's what I've been preaching. Indeed, those behaviors do get a lot of things done because they help get projects unstuck by defining the doing and the done and parking the results in trusted places that trigger the actions. But many people miss the real reason for doing this. You don't make the list of actions and projects just to get them all done and then do nothing else in your life. You process the things you have attention on so you can do what you really feel like doing and really do it with 100% of your focus and creative energy with abandon. I just spent all morning pruning my pine tree and it felt great. My creative juices were flowing, my aesthetics were sparkling for just the right shapes and spatial relationships in that part of a yard, but it wasn't on a list. This morning, it just seemed like the thing to do. If I didn't have the list I have, and if I hadn't done a thorough review of them within the last few days, I wouldn't have been able to trust that my inventory of defined work was complete and current this morning, and that it could wait. Without that conscious self-renegotiation process, there would have been at least a slight gnawing sense of anxiety that there was shoulds lurking in the shadows that could attack me at any moment. And what's the best temporary relief and false protection from the unseen and ugly shoulds? Get busy. Without my list, I would probably still have pruned my pine tree this morning, but for all the wrong reasons. Oh, I love that. Some of the best projects I've ever done was never on a list. And so that's what I want to leave you with, so that when you are doing your reviews, however you want to customize them, this is the opportunity to get out of the busy track, be in the driver's seat of your life, personally and professionally, be in that place of creativity, which I think we all love to be in, to be able to decide what we really want to focus on. So all the best. Would love to hear how your weekly reviews are going. And then we will focus on what the next sections are going to be for GTD for beginners. For more GTD resources, please visit gettingthingsdone.com and David Allen's YouTube channel. For more information on GTD coaching, please email us at info@gtdfocus.com or visit our website at gtdfocus.com.